I think what is remarkable about ECOS is that it has generated a sense of doing things for their own sake, for their own intrinsic value. In a society which at the moment is very much geared towards making money and making material things, we have involved a huge number of people purely in the business of making a work of art.
This huge piece of Belgian dolomite is one of 12 monoliths brought to Frome to celebrate European unity. The stones have been individually chosen, one from each country in the European community, as part of a permanent symbol of peace. They have been arranged in a semicircle around a purpose-built open-air theatre, designed as both a sculpture park and a centre for all kinds of community and educational activity. Built between the Merlin Theatre and Frome College, the European Community of Stones is Frome's commitment to Europe in 1992 and to developing closer ties with the rest of Europe. It has taken only 18 months to complete the project, but ECOS is unique because every stone you see here was quarried, transported and laid free of charge. The project was the brainchild of Barry Cooper, an artist living in Frome, who wanted to create a sculpture park on the grassy slope next to the Merlin Theatre.
It began when I was doing an artist in residency in Frome College in 1984. One of the projects that I proposed was to build some monumental pieces of sculpture on the bit of grass. They would be about 10 foot tall, and what I proposed was to have large, colourful heads. And there were two sources of inspiration for them. One was some large masks, which I painted as a backdrop for a play, and the other one was Easter Island figures. The Easter Islanders carved these huge bits of rock and then dragged them to the edge of the island and erected them all facing inwards from the sea. It was that kind of image that I was thinking about with these large heads.
Barry approached the principal of Frome College, John Fisher, who took up the idea with enthusiasm.
The designs which I put forward were to be monumental figures of ordinary people in a kind of local democracy around a central point. and then these abstract figures, which I made out of clay and wood and metal, were all arranged around it. What he suggested to me was that we could make this local democracy in stone. And what he initially suggested, which was a very ambitious idea, was to have a United Nations of stone. Well, this proved a little bit ambitious. And so we then went for a European community of stone.
From there, it was a short step to designing an amphitheatre, which would be built of locally quarried stone and incorporate the 12 monoliths from Europe. The idea was inspired. Its location would make it an ideal focus for educational activities and performance. It had the potential for involving local people in a huge community art project, and it would provide an opportunity to create links with similar communities in Europe.
Frome is a quarrying community, and the life of Frome very much revolves around quarrying, and so it seemed an appropriate medium to use once we had decided not to use wood, and so we went from there really to make links with other quarrying communities, similar quarrying communities throughout Europe.
A celebration of unity, or a giant piece of community art, this was dreaming on a monumental scale. But turning the dream into reality was a different matter altogether. The first step was to enlist the help of engineers from Balfour Beatty, who were at the time building the Frome bypass. Work began in the spring of 1991. Very soon the slope outside the Merlin Theatre was transformed as the amphitheatre started to take shape. As the project progressed, interest from businesses and individuals in Frome and further afield gathered momentum.
I talked to a lot of people, both at the beginning and all the way through, about this idea, and the idea grew out of lots of people feeding their own ideas into it, and this has grown exponentially all through the project, so that now there are many, many people all putting ideas in.
But it wasn't just the ideas that made it happen. The project relied on people like Frank Turner, who spent all his spare time building the amphitheatre.
All the stone has been given. A lot of the stone is from Dalton Quarry. That's the same quarry where they get this stone from for Wells Cathedral. It's a special quarry, just outside Shepton Mallet, and that's out of all the scrap stacks, you know. These capping pieces are all what we call pennant sandstone from Bristol. They're nice, aren't they, these? It's used for paving. It's the same sort of stuff we've used in Shepherd's Bar and Catherine Hill. And they gave us all that for nothing.
The aesthetics were firstly to do with stone which had been found and chosen from quarries, and also the idea that that stone over time would change. One of the key things in the concept of ecos is its organic nature, almost that we're building some kind of a garden, some kind of an environmental piece.
Building an amphitheatre with no money wasn't the only ambitious idea. This block of pink granite from Spain is 5 metres high and weighs 25 tonnes.
Andrea, just a quick call. Since our last facts together, we actually established that the lorry wouldn't be in on the Friday as agreed. So we're now looking for departure Saturday or Sunday. So it'll be with us about a week later.
But the person responsible for acquiring the stones and arranging their transport to Frome is Peter Chapman.
That's fine, thank you.
It took hundreds of phone calls to quarry owners, transport companies and shipping agents all over Europe to get them here.
Most people would realise that it's one thing to agree that this is a good idea and a unique project, but when having chosen a stone from a particular quarry, you then ask that quarry company to transport it free of charge from places as far away as Greece or southern Portugal, Spain. We had a huge logistical problem of organising transport from those far distances all the way across the Channel to Frome. We have used transport companies that have been given to us through transport contacts that we use in the quarrying industry and further afield. And we've established various opportunities to bring the stones back, quite often on a backhaul basis. The Italian stone, of course, was quite an interesting one because we heard that there was a paper-making machine being taken to Rome, and that was only something like 50 miles from where the stone in Italy was placed. So we were able, on a backhaul basis, to deliver a paper-making machine to Rome, pick up our stone from the quarry near Rome with some shoes and bring it back to England.
During the course of the project, Peter made several trips to Europe to personally select the right piece of stone.
It was clearly important that we chose stones that actually complemented each other and were sympathetic with each other. Although, of course, I've tried to choose stones that are individual in their character, in their shape, and indeed in their colour and actual size. It was important for me to establish very early on that out of an individual quarry we could actually have a piece of stone 3 or 4 metres high, 2 or 3 metres wide, and weighing something like 12 to 20 tonnes. Now that is a request that may seem a fairly normal one for a quarry, but the reality is in modern quarry production you're generally trying to break down great big pieces of stone into small aggregate for concrete and road making. So I was actually asking for something rather unusual. So here we are.
This space of the front car.
This is going to be impressive.
Peter's trip to Portugal was the first, and ties of friendship were already being cemented. But finding a suitable stone in this huge marble quarry was a difficult task.
Decisions, decisions. The stone will have a polished surface on one side, that's lying underneath at the moment. The bottom will be cut off here, so the stone will sit firmly on the concrete. That will be cut across the back there, and the rest of the texture will be natural, which will reflect what you see here on this small replica. So we hope you like what you see. It weighs about 12 tons. And all we've got to decide now is how we actually get it back to England. For me, the joy of this project has been the wonderful reception that we've had in each of the countries, be it transport, or the quarries, or the individual ambassadors for those countries. The Spanish story, to me, sticks in my mind. I met the owner of a quarry company who is a very impassive Galician gentleman that sat there and listened to the whole project being revealed to him. And I had absolutely no idea from his facial expressions whether he was for the scheme or not. I was taken to his quarry, and to my complete delight and amazement, when we came round a corner in the quarry, there was a huge column of pink granite that he'd already previously selected.
An amazing amount of hard work has gone into building the amphitheatre, but every bit of it is a result of the generosity of individuals and businesses who donated time, materials and equipment, from delivering tons of stone, sand and cement to cultivating the terraces and sowing grass seed.
I can only think in the early stages of it being a kind of dream, without realising really what was involved at all. As a dream, I suppose in some ways I didn't believe that it could happen. Everything that was proposed has actually happened, and that is because so many people are involved in this, and as a skill was needed, so somebody has stepped in and done it. And the most amazing thing about that is that it has been done for free. The people who've made it happen have injected their enthusiasm into the area which they're good at, and then then brought it to fruition, both as a sculpture and then as a performance space, ending up with the festival. Basically, everybody has an artist in them, and obviously it's the case that it's mostly artists that actually get down and produce artwork. In fact, given the opportunity, as I think ECOS has shown, an awful lot of people have found this urge in them and have participated in it in a huge way, and I think it's that which fires people. I think it's also that people have a wish to do something quite crazy, and this actually gave them an opportunity to do just that. I see ECOS as a sculpture as being a house without a roof. Talking to Greek people, it's quite interesting because ECOS in Greek also means tune or echo. So it has a lovely feeling of something spreading outwards, which is exactly what ECOS is about. It's about looking outwards to communities beyond our own locality. It's about not having a narrow vision about the world we live in.